temple halls echoed with solemn footsteps. Jedi Master Shaak Ti stood before the council chamber, her leku twitching nervously. She had just returned from a secret mission on Kamino, and the findings chilled her more than any Sith presence. Inside the chamber, the faces of the Jedi Council were tense. Yoda, Mace Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and others seated in silence as Shaak Ti revealed her intel. A clone technician, driven by guilt, had smuggled her evidence of a mysterious behavioral protocol embedded within every clone trooper's neural chip. The words were clear in the file. Order 66. In the event of Jedi treason, all commanding Jedi officers are to be executed without hesitation. Master Windu's hand clenched the armrest. This is treasonous. This is calculated extermination. Master Yoda closed his eyes, deep in meditation. Sense the future, I do. Cloudy and shrouded it is. The debate began. Ki-Adi-Mundi proposed confronting Chancellor Palpatine directly. Plo Koon warned it would expose their suspicions and trigger the very trap they feared. The Jedi were losing favor in the Senate. A wrong move could see them branded traitors before the first lightsaber ignited. Then Master Kenobi spoke, his voice steady but grim. If we act prematurely, we risk making the prophecy of our destruction a reality. But if we remain still, we condemn ourselves in silence. Master Windu agreed to keep the intel secret, for now. We will watch the Chancellor, we will prepare, but we will not move until we are certain. In the shadows of the Jedi Temple, a few dissenting voices emerged. Jedi Knight Sindralig began rallying trusted Jedi to fortify the temple's defenses. Padawan Zuli Zis attempted to leak the information to the media, but was intercepted by Coruscant security and quietly imprisoned. Meanwhile, Darth Sidious tightened his noose. Anakin Skywalker, still balancing between Jedi and darkness, felt the ripples in the Force. Uncertainty, fear, betrayal. Palpatine whispered in his ear, twisting the silence of the Council into treachery. They don't trust you, Anakin. They're planning to destroy the Republic. Why else would they hide such knowledge? The final days came swiftly. When Palpatine issued Order 66, the Jedi were not caught entirely off guard, but they were not united. Some masters resisted valiantly, protecting younglings and fending off clone onslaughts. Others fell in disbelief, betrayed by troops they had led into battle for years. Mace Windu and 3 masters confronted Palpatine, but Anakin's inner torment exploded into action. The Council's silence had seeded mistrust, and Anakin's fall became complete. As the temple burned and Jedi fell across the galaxy, Master Yoda stood in exile, reflecting. Had the Council's caution been wisdom or cowardice? In the end, the silence of the Jedi Council echoed louder than any scream. The Kaminoan rain never stopped. It fell in endless sheets, dancing across the metallic walkways like whispers of a truth waiting to be uncovered. Jedi Master Shaak Ti pulled her cloak tighter, the damp chill doing little to calm her nerves. Clones marched in formation below, efficient and silent, their white armor gleaming under Kamino's storm-lit sky. But something felt wrong. Too precise. Too obedient. She had come to oversee the training of new clone units, but something in the Force tugged at her, a ripple of unease that wouldn't fade. Her instincts led her to a low-level technician, a nervous man named Klatt who had requested a private meeting. Inside a dim maintenance corridor, he handed her a data chip, his hands trembling. "I shouldn't be doing this," Clyde whispered, eyes darting. "But you have to know. There's something buried deep in their programming." Shaak Ti took the chip, sensing the fear radiating from him. "What is it?" she asked gently. Klatt's voice dropped to a whisper. "A command protocol, hidden in their implants. I don't know all the details, but it's called Order 66. It tells the clones to kill the Jedi. All of them." The words hit like a lightsaber to the chest. Shaak Ti didn't react outwardly. Jedi training kept her face calm. But her heart pounded. She played the file, scanning the code, encrypted, disguised within behavioral subroutines, but the words were unmistakable. In the event of Jedi treason, all commanding Jedi officers are to be executed with lethal force. She stared at the screen. No emotion, no hesitation, just execution. She turned to Clay. "Who else knows?" "No one," he said, swallowing hard. "Not even Lama Su. I found it by accident in the update logs." Shaak Ti nodded. "You did the right thing." That night, as she sat in her quarters overlooking the storm-tossed ocean, she sent a coded message to Coruscant. The message was brief, but urgent. She didn't sleep, because for the first time, she felt something she hadn't in years. Not just fear, but the quiet certainty that the Jedi were walking towards something terrible, and they might already be too late. The Jedi Council chamber was unusually quiet, not the peaceful kind of silence that came with meditation or reflection. This was the heavy, sharp-edged silence of unease. Masters sat in their chairs, eyes fixed on the center of the room where Shaak Ti stood, the datapad in her hand still glowing faintly. Mace Windu leaned forward, voice low and tight. "You're certain of this?" Shaak Ti nodded. "The protocol is embedded in every clone's neural chip, hidden, but it's there." Obi-Wan Kenobi's brow furrowed. "A kill switch? Against us?" "He's not mistaken," Ki-Adi-Mundi said, folding his hands. "I've reviewed the data. It's well concealed, but real." Ahsoka Tano, standing just behind her former master's seat, looked from one face to another, disbelief in her eyes. But why would the Chancellor approve something like this? Plo Koon's voice was grave. "Because he fears us, or he's planning something far worse." Yoda's eyes were closed, face etched with thought. The force around him swirled with tension. "Careful we must be. Dangerous knowledge this is." An uncomfortable pause followed. Even among the Jedi, this was unprecedented. The very soldiers they had led into battle, trusted with their lives, programmed to turn on them without question. "I say we confront Palpatine," Ki-Adi-Mundi said suddenly. "Demand an explanation." Mace Windu shook his head. "And what if that's what he wants? If we move against him without proof, we risk confirming every lie he's told the Senate." Obi-Wan glanced at Yoda. "Then what do we do? Wait? Hope he doesn't use it?" "We investigate further," Windu said firmly. "We monitor the Chancellor, look for signs, we prepare. But we do not act yet." "Silence," Plo Koon murmured, "is a dangerous ally." "And so is panic," Obi-Wan countered. The room fell quiet again. Outside the tall windows, speeders zipped through Coruscant skies. The galaxy moved on, unaware of the storm brewing in its heart. Ahsoka watched the Masters, her jaw clenched. "If we're not going to act, we'd better be sure we're ready when he does." Yoda finally opened his eyes. "Ready, we must be. For the end of the Jedi, this may be." The Council had made its choice. Not one born of peace, but of fear, caution, and the narrowing walls of war. In the hours that followed the meeting, Mace Windu sat alone in the council chamber, hands clasped, his eyes watching the sunset bleed across the Coruscant skyline. His reflection shimmered faintly in the polished floor below him, strong, steady, but uncertain. Obi-Wan Kenobi entered quietly. "They're still debating in the archives," Obi-Wan said. "Some of the knights think we should speak to the Senate." Mace didn't look away from the window. "If we bring this to the Senate, the Chancellor will know, and then it's over. He'll paint us as traitors, and the people will believe him. You think the Republic would turn on us so easily? Windu turned now, his voice low. They already have, Obi-Wan. They just don't know it yet. Silence lingered between them. In another wing of the temple, Yoda moved slowly through the meditation gardens, his cane tapping softly against the stone. Around him, younglings practiced with their instructors, laughter mixing with the rustle of wind and water. He paused to watch them, the smallest ones swinging training sabers with clumsy determination. He sighed. Blind we are, not to the danger, but blind the galaxy is to the truth. Back in the war room, Ki-Adi-Mundi and Plo Koon reviewed clone deployment logs. Quiet words passed between them, discussions about positioning Jedi away from vulnerable points. Reassignments that looked like routine adjustments, but were really precautions. Not an official defense plan. Not even a whisper of a rebellion. Just a quiet effort to survive. Ahsoka, restless, cornered Master Shakti in the hallway. You saw the files. How can we just do nothing? Shakti placed a hand on Ahsoka's shoulder. This isn't nothing. It's waiting and watching. But we're Jedi, Ahsoka said bitterly. Aren't we supposed to stand for something? Shakti didn't answer. She couldn't. Because deep down, she feared that their silence meant to protect might become the very thing that destroyed them. Whispers moved through the Jedi temple like wind through old stone. Some masters sensed it. The hesitation in council decisions, the nervous glances, the sudden shifts in clone deployments. Something had changed, and not everyone was content to meditate on it. Deep within the temple's training halls, Jedi Battle Master Sindralig stood with arms folded, watching younglings train. His eyes were sharp, focused, not just on their technique, but on the temple itself. Late that night, he met with 2 trusted knights in the shadows of the armory. I want this temple ready for anything, Sin said. Extra drills, reinforce access points, quietly. Knight Boltar Swan raised a brow. Is this an order from the council? No, Sin replied. It's instinct. The others said nothing, but they nodded. Their faith in the Jedi Council was strong, but their faith in the Force stronger. Elsewhere, in a hidden alcove of the archives, Padawan Zul ZC worked feverishly over a holo terminal. The data Shakti had uncovered. It hadn't stayed buried. Zul found fragments, lines of coded protocol, just enough to know it was true. She recorded a message on a secure frequency, her voice trembling. If you're receiving this, the Jedi are in danger. The clones, our soldiers, they've been programmed to turn on us. She never finished it. Temple security found her within the hour. No trial, no warning. She was quietly removed from duty and placed under protective supervision, her name erased from the assignment rolls. When Anakin Skywalker heard about it from a friend in the archives, he was furious. What do you mean they locked her away? For what, digging too deep? Don't ask questions, Anakin, the knight replied. Just stay focused on your missions. But Anakin was asking questions, and no one was answering. Across the temple, the Force was restless. Some Jedi began keeping their lightsabers closer at night. Some started watching the clone troopers more closely, noticing how their gazes lingered, how they stood a little too straight. It wasn't rebellion, not yet. But the quiet preparations had begun. And deep in the temple's heart, the Jedi who trusted their instincts more than politics were no longer waiting for permission to survive. The Chancellor's office was quiet, high above the chaos of Coruscant. Anakin Skywalker stood near the broad window, arms folded, staring out at the sprawl of the city world. The sun dipped low, casting gold and red across the skyline. Behind him, Chancellor Palpatine watched him closely. They don't trust you, Palpatine said softly, voice almost fatherly. The Jedi Council... Anakin didn't answer right away, his jaw clenched, his mind heavy with unanswered questions. Palpatine stepped closer. You feel it, don't you? Their silence, their secrets. Anakin turned, his expression guarded. They've been... distant. They fear your power, fear your closeness to me. That's why they've kept things from you, Palpatine said, his tone almost gentle. Important things. Anakin's brow furrowed. Like what? Palpatine paused, then spoke carefully. There is a contingency hidden in the clones, a command buried deep. The Jedi Council knows of it, but they said nothing. Anakin stepped forward. What kind of command? Palpatine let the silence stretch before answering. If the Jedi were ever to turn against the Republic, the clones are ordered to eliminate them. Without trial, without question. Anakin blinked, stunned. Ace, they knew. Palpatine nodded. They knew, and yet they said nothing to you. You, their chosen one, their general, their hero. Anakin looked away, eyes narrowing. He remembered how they'd denied him the rank of master, how they'd asked him to spy on Palpatine while keeping him at arm's length. They say they trust me, he muttered, but they never truly have. Palpatine stepped closer still, lowering his voice. They fear you, Anakin, fear what you might become. But I believe in you. The Council's silence is not caution, it's betrayal. They've already made their choice. Something twisted in Anakin's chest. Confusion, hurt, anger. And in that moment, the seed of doubt planted long ago, during the war, during the missions, during every cold look from the Council, began to take root. Palpatine placed a hand on his shoulder, warm and steady. Where the time comes, you must choose, Anakin, not between light and dark, but between truth and deception. Anakin said nothing, but in his silence something shifted. The command came without warning. Across thousands of star systems, clone commanders received the same encrypted message. Just 2 words. Execute Order 66. On the outer rim, Jedi Master Aayla Secura walked ahead of her clone battalion through the dense forests of Felucia. Birds chirped. The light flickered through the canopy. She didn't sense the danger, not until it was already too late. The clones raised their blasters. No hesitation. No words. Just fire. She fell without a sound, betrayed by soldiers who had once saluted her with respect. On Coruscant, the temple alarms blared. Shakti spun as explosions rocked the lower levels. Younglings screamed in the halls. Blaster fire echoed through marble corridors. Troopers stormed the gates, not outsiders, but their own security detail. She activated her lightsaber, eyes wide with disbelief. They're attacking the temple. Zindralig led a group of knights down the corridor, shouting, "Defensive positions, protect the younglings!" The temple was prepared, barely. Barricades had been discreetly installed, alternate escape paths marked. Those who had believed something was coming now found themselves fighting not to win, but to survive. In the Senate building, Mace Windu turned as his comlink crackled. "Master Windu, this is Commander Pons. They're turning on us." Then static. He looked to Kit Fisto and Agent Kolar. "It's begun." They moved, fast, toward the Chancellor's office. Not to negotiate, not to warn, but to end it. In the Jedi archives, Jocasta Nu shielded a group of Padawans, her old hands shaking as she activated a blaster taken from a fallen guard. She had never thought she'd hold one again. "Stay behind me," she said quietly. "No matter what you hear, you run when I say." Not every Jedi was caught off guard, but even those who were ready had never imagined this. The betrayal was absolute. The bonds forged in war shattered in a moment. And across the galaxy, Order 66 became not just a command, but a judgment. One carried out with brutal efficiency. No trial, no mercy. Just fire, silence, and the fall of an ancient order. Smoke coiled through the Jedi Temple like a serpent. Fires burned in the archives, statues lay shattered, lightsabers hummed in the distance, clashing, before falling silent. Master Shakti moved quickly through the ruined halls, her robes torn, her arm bleeding. Beside her, Padawan Bene limped, struggling to keep up. They were heading toward the emergency exit, buried deep in the lower levels, a tunnel only a few masters knew existed. "We're almost there," Shakti said, glancing back. Just hold on. Bene nodded, eyes wide. Why are they doing this? The clones. Why now? Shakti's voice was tight. Because we always knew they might. But the moment's blaster fire rang out behind them. Shakti turned, lightsaber igniting in a flash of blue. 2 troopers fell before they even raised their weapons. The third fired, grazing her shoulder. She hissed in pain, but kept moving. Around the temple, scattered survivors were doing the same, running, fighting, hiding. In the garden courtyard, Master Sindralik stood his ground, surrounded by knights and younglings. His saber spun in wide, disciplined arcs, deflecting a storm of blaster bolts. "We hold here," he shouted. "Buy them time to escape." Mace tossed a grenade over the wall. Sin kicked it away with the force. Too late. The explosion flared. The screaming began again. Elsewhere, hidden beneath the council chambers, Plo Koon's apprentice, Jedi Knight Bolter Swan, tapped a hidden code into a stone panel. A section of the wall slid aside, revealing a secret passage. She turned to a small group, 3 Padawans, a wounded knight, and a baby in swaddling clothes. "This way, we don't have much time." "But what about the others?" one of the Padawans asked. Bolter didn't answer. She couldn't. Because in her heart, she knew most of the others were already gone. Above them, the temple's tall towers burned, visible even from the streets below. The people of Coruscant watched the flames and asked no questions. Inside, the Jedi who had prepared in silence, who had whispered warnings in shadow, were now fleeing for their lives, guilt heavy in their hearts. Because they had known, and now they were paying the price. The temple was in ruins. The council chamber, once the heart of Jedi wisdom, stood silent, its windows shattered, its circle of chairs half destroyed. The force there felt hollow, like a song that had been suddenly cut off mid-note. Mace Windu had fallen. Kit Fisto, Agen Kolar, and Saisi Tin too. The Chancellor, no Darth Sidious, had revealed his true form, and the Sith had returned, not in shadow, but in fire and blood. But some Jedi had escaped. Master Yoda, bruised and silent, hid in the swamps of Dagobah, not by choice, by survival. Every breath he took was a reminder of all he had lost. And Obi-Wan Kenobi, weary and hollow-eyed, now cradled the infant Luke Skywalker in his arms as he stood beneath Tatooine's twin suns. They had failed. The Jedi had seen it coming, Order 66, and yet they had not stopped it. In their silence, they had allowed it to bloom. In an abandoned safe house on Corellia, Ahsoka Tano sat across from Master Plo Koon's old apprentice, Bolter Swan. A flickering holo map glowed between them, marking scattered signals. Jedi distress beacons that had gone dark one by one. Ahsoka broke the silence. "We should have done more." Baltar's face was pale, haunted. "We tried, some of us, but the council, they chose fear," Ahsoka said flatly. "They thought waiting would keep us safe. It didn't." "And now?" Boltar asked. Ahsoka's eyes narrowed. "Now we do what we should have done before. Not all who survived chose exile. Some chose resistance. On distant moons and outer rim worlds, Jedi began moving in secret, training young survivors, smuggling force-sensitive children into hiding, writing down lost knowledge before it vanished. They were few, scattered, hunted, but not broken. Obi-Wan whispered to the sleeping child in his arms, "I'll watch over you. I'll keep you safe. Maybe you'll make it right someday." The Jedi Order was dead, but the spark remained. Quiet, waiting for the day it would burn again. Rain fell hard on the surface of Kamino, the storm world where the clone army had been born. Inside a dimly lit lab, echoes of footsteps clicked on the metal floor. Hidden beneath the platform, deep within a maintenance shaft, Jedi Master Coleman Kakai stood, dripping wet, his breath slow and controlled. He wasn't supposed to be here. Not anymore. But answers still lived in this place, buried in forgotten data cores and restricted archives. Beside him, a Kaminoan technician, Nala Se narrowed her long, pale eyes. "You shouldn't have returned," she said. "I had no choice," Coleman replied. "Too many questions remain." She hesitated, then handed him a small holodisk. "This is all I could salvage. Clones were never meant to think beyond the order." He activated the disk. A flickering image appeared, old recorded cycles before the Clone Wars even began. It showed Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, young and firm-voiced, speaking with Prime Minister Lama Su. "Baby must be loyal to the Senate, above all else," Sifo Dyas said. Another voice interrupted, a figure cloaked in shadow, deep, cold. "And share protocol failsafes are embedded. Should the Jedi become inconvenient." Coleman froze. The Council hadn't just discovered Order 66. Some had known, from the beginning. Back on Coruscant, Obi-Wan sat alone with Bail Organa aboard a quiet ship in orbit. The Senator's face was grim. "People are afraid. Palpatine tells them the Jedi tried to overthrow the Republic." Obi-Wan shook his head. "He is the Republic now, and the Jedi—" He stopped himself. "We're ghosts." Bail leaned forward. "Is there anything left? Anything that could be used to fight back?" Obi-Wan stared out the viewport, thinking of the temple, of lost friends, of hidden files he had once dismissed as irrelevant, vague warnings, fragmented data, voices the Council ignored. "There were records," he said finally, "before the war, and there may still be copies. On remote worlds, in broken satellites, within sealed Jedi vaults, fragments of truth remained. Not just about the Sith, but about the Jedi's silence. What they knew, when they knew it, and what they failed to stop. Some truths could no longer save the Order, but they might, one day, redeem it." Dust twirled gently around the base of a stone pillar, deep in the ruins of the Jedi Temple. Years had passed since Order 66. The Republic was gone. The Empire stood in its place, casting a shadow across the stars. The Jedi were spoken of only in whispers, as traitors or myths. But within the hidden archives, buried beneath the wreckage, a recording still pulsed with a faint blue light. The hooded figure appeared in the hologram. Master Yoda, his voice was tired, heavy with sorrow. "If this message you hear, hope still lives. Failed, we have, not in battle, but in vision." The recording flickered, then continued. "The future clouded it was, but signs, many there were, fear, doubt, darkness growing. In the corner of a distant rebel safe house, a young Force-sensitive girl named Mira watched the recording with wide eyes. She had grown up hearing only fragments of Jedi legends, but now, this was real. Yoda's voice, clear as starlight. Next to her, an old man leaned forward. Obi-Wan Kenobi, now called Ben, remained silent, his hands clasped. Mira turned to him. "Why didn't the Jedi stop it?" Obi-Wan closed his eyes. "We believed we were protecting the galaxy, but in our silence, we protected the lie. They may knew? Some of us, we saw it coming, but we let fear guide us. Politics, protocol, pride." He opened his eyes, and for a moment the weight of the years showed across his face. "Palpatine didn't destroy us alone. We helped him, by standing still." Mira looked back at the hologram. The flame of curiosity burned behind her eyes. "Then I won't stand still," she whispered. Across the galaxy, others like her were rising. Lost ones, but brave. The truth about Order 66, the warning signs, the Council's silence, the chance they had to stop it, was spreading again, slowly, quietly. But truth has a way of surviving even when the voices behind it have fallen. And as one spark finds another, the darkness begins to crack. Because even in failure, the Jedi left behind something greater than order. They left behind the chance to begin again.